Motivational and affective factors is motivational and emotional influences on learning. The rich internal world of thoughts, beliefs, goals, and expectation for success or failure can enhance or interfere with the learner's quality of thinking and information processing. Motivational and affective factors, or motivational and emotional influences on learning. The rich internal world of thoughts, beliefs, goals, and expectation for success or failure can enhance or interfere with the learner's quality of thinking and information processing. The student's beliefs about themselves as learners and nature of learning have a marked influence on motivation. Motivational and emotional factors also influence both quality of thinking and information processing as well as individuals' motivation to learn. Positive emotions such curiosity generally enhance motivation and facilitate learning and performance, and mild anxiety can also enhance learning and particular tasks. However, intense negative emotion, example, worrying about competence, ruminating about failure, fearing punishment, ridicule, or stigmatizing labels, generally distract from motivation, interfere with learning, and contribute to low performance. Intrinsic motivation to learn. Curiosity, flexibility, and insightful thinking and creativity are major indicators of learners' intrinsic motivation to learn, which is in large part a function and meeting basic needs to be competent and to exercise personal control. Intrinsic motivation is facilitated on tasks that learners perceive as interesting and personally relevant and meaningful. Meaningful, appropriate, and complexity and difficulty to learners' abilities, and on which they believe they can succeed. Intrinsic motivation is also facilitated on tasks that is comparable to real-world situation and meet needs for choice and control. Educators can encourage and support learners' natural curiosity and motivation to learn by attending to individual differences in learners' perception of optimal novelty and difficulty, relevance, and personal choice and control. Effects of motivation and effort. Effort is another major indicator of motivation to learn. The acquisition of complete knowledge and skills demands investments of considerable learner energy, strategic effort, along with persistent overtime. Educators need to be concerned with facilitating motivation by strategies that enhance learners' effort and commitment to learning and to achieving high standards of comprehension and understanding. Effective strategies include purposeful learning activities guided by practices and enhance positive emotion and intrinsic motivation to learn, and methods increase learners' perception that a task is interesting and personally relevant.
Motivational and emotional influences on learning. So, what is it? Motivational and emotional also influence both the quality of thinking and information processing as well as individuals' motivation to learn. Motivational and emotional influences on learning. Positive emotions such as curiosity generally enhance motivation and facilitate learning and performance. First is the rich internal world of thoughts, beliefs, goals, and expectations for success and failure can enhance or interfere with the learner's quality of thinking and information processing. Second, students' belief about themselves as learners and the nature of learning have a marked influence on motivation. Motivational and emotional factors also influence both the quality of thinking and information processing, as well as an individual's motivation to learn. Positive emotions, such as curiosity, generally enhance motivation and facilitate learning and performance. Mild anxiety can also enhance learning and performance by focusing the learner's attention in particular tasks. Motivation is the force that energizes and directs behavior. Motivation to learn is determined by many factors: emotional state, beliefs, interests, goals, habits of thinking, etc. Understanding and encouraging certain motivational stage is key in determining a student's success in the classroom. So, based on what I read the books, from a cognitive development perspective, in order to be successful in the classroom, students must believe that they are able to effective and efficiently complete the tasks which are given to them. This is known as self-efficacy. They must also process the ability to bounce back after a failure. For example, a student in your class gets a poor mark on a quiz. Rather than decrease his effort, the resistant student will use the failure as motivation and will increase his efforts to ensure success on the next quiz. This is known as mastery beliefs. The motivated student must also be able to identify, explain, or attribute their success or failure to as something specific. For example, in the case of the student who did poorly on a quiz, he might be able to attribute his failure on the fact that he watched a basketball game and didn't study long enough for the quiz. This is known as attributions. Having goals is another very important motivation state. The motivation student has goals which he is trying to accomplish. A motivated student also possesses the ability to monitor and evaluate how well they are doing in specific tasks. They are able to determine how well their goal pursuing efforts are going. This is known as self-regulation. And the other example, based on my experience, as a student like me, we have our own self-confidence is how we became motivated or we get motivation also because of our family, of our own case. For me, as a student, motivation to finish my studies because I want to have a good life, and as a mother, I also want to show that I am a good model for my child who has graduated. Aside from the emotional, it becomes a cause and effect of our studies. As a family, it became an effect on me. Then because I broke up with my family, I lost my appetite to live in the world. Then, tired of studying, I almost gave up on my life. You are losing focus on my studies, especially on my self-confidence, because I don't know what to do because of that issue.
Curiosity, flexible, and insightful thinking and creativity are major indicators of the learner's intrinsic motivation to learn, which is in large part function of meeting basic needs to be competent and to exercise personal control. So, curiosity is our ability to think for question to make us creative and competent to the things that we still need to learn. Then second,
Intrinsic motivation is facilitated on tasks that learners perceive as interesting and personally relevant and meaningful, appropriate in complexity and difficulty to the learner's abilities and on which they believe they can succeed. So, intrinsic, from the word intrinsic is it is you motivate yourself to do the things to make you interested and to become excited about the result, and because you know that it is more difficult not to learn than to trust yourself to do when you reach your goals. Then the third is educators can encourage and support learners' natural curiosity and motivation to learn by attending to individual differences in learners' perception of optimal novelty and difficulty, relevance, and personal choice and control. So as an educators, you can encourage yourself and support the things that we need to learn and motivate yourself the new things that comes into our life. And let's just think that these are new learnings for us.
Effects of motivation on effort. Effort is another major indicator of motivation to learn. The acquisition of complex knowledge and skills demands the investment of considerable learned energy, strategic effort, along with persistence over time. So, yung effort na ginagawa natin is nagpapakita na minomotivate natin yung sarili natin na gawin ang isang bagay para matuto tayo at para ma-improve natin ang ating sarili. Binibigyan natin ang ating energy sa effort na ginagawa natin para ma-improve ang ating knowledge and skills. And binibigyan natin ng mahabang oras para matutunan ito at para ma-improve pa ang ating knowledge and skills. Educators need to be concerned with facilitating motivation by strategies that enhance learner effort and commitment to learning and to achieving high standards of comprehension and understanding. So, yung mga teachers, ang ginagawa nila ngayon sa online classes natin is nag-self-recording sila and gina-screen record nila yung topics or discussion para i-explain sa mga students yung binibigyan nilang topics para mas lalong maintindihan ng mga students yung laman ng PowerPoint na binibigyan nila. At kahit na online classes tayo ngayon is andun pa rin yung taas ng standards or high standards for learning and understanding ng students. Effective strategies include purposeful learning activities guided by practices that enhance positive emotions and intrinsic motivation to learn, and methods that increase learners' perceptions that a task is interesting and personally relevant. So, yung mga activities, task, discussion na binibigay ng teacher sa student is para ma-enhance yung learnings ng students. Siyempre, may quiz is magbabasa yung students para may maisagot sa quiz at magkakaroon sila ng interest sa binibigyan na task dahil maiisip ng student na kapag hindi nila gagawin yung binibigay na task is syempre bababa yung grade nila, at kapag naman gawin nila yung lahat ng task, syempre bibigyan sila ng mataas na grade. So doon pa lang is mag-increase yung learnings ng students dahil bibigyan niya ito ng effort para mag-increase ang kanyang learnings.